Hello there everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel. This is going to be my Week 1 NFL picks. It is that time once again as the NFL season is coming up. Once again, baseball season is starting to come to an end, but unfortunately the Orioles have not been doing so well, but that's not really what we're talking about because we are now moving on to football. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to that, especially the people in Maryland, with the Ravens and everything else because of them, like I said about the Orioles, but you know what I mean. So anyway, NFL was pretty good last year. I mean, there were some great games. There were some games that were disappointing. The Ravens did not make the playoffs, though, but they did pretty well. But the Ravens did get some new players. I will get to that soon, but once again, this is going to be Week 1 NFL picks. I also have my NFL season predictions that are uploading in the process. I am doing this video on the open broadcaster thing here just to do it this way, just to change it up a little bit. And I would like to have some guests as well, but I'm not really sure, but we'll see. So anyway, so let's get right into it. Week 1 NFL picks. So our first game is Thursday Night Football on NBC between, the Atlanta Falcons and the defending Super Bowl, the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. This should be a good matchup for Thursday Night Football, and I think pretty much, though, in favor of who wins this game, I'm in favor of the Eagles all the way because they still have a good amount of the same players, but they did wind up losing Torrey Smith to the Carolina Panthers, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought maybe he would return to the Ravens, but he did not. So, but the Falcons have a good amount of same players too, including their quarterback Matt Ryan. But I still think that the Eagles are pretty much going to win this one. But it should be a good game though, and this will be in Philadelphia, of course. And for score-wise, I say the Eagles over the Falcons, 27-23. Excuse me, as I clear my throat. Now we'll move on to our 1 o'clock games. Now we'll get to the one game in particular in just a minute, so we'll do this one first. And these are our Sunday games, of course, September 9th. So our first game that we'll do is the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the New Jersey Giants. I like to call them, but we'll just go by this. New York Giants. This will, of course, be in New Jersey. But, I want to call them the New Jersey Giants a lot of times, but even though that they're called the New York Giants, but there you go. All right, anyway, for this one, I have the Jaguars over the Giants in this one. The Giants have been, unfortunately, not doing well for the past few years and all that, and the Jaguars have actually been doing pretty well. But if my NFL video of my season predictions gets uploaded, and you'll see my predictions for the season. You might be surprised on some of them, and some of them you may disagree on, but it's once again called a prediction. So anyway, for this one, for my prediction for this one, once again, Jaguars over the Giants in this one. They still have Blake Bortles, and Giants still have Eli Manning. Yeah, veteran quarterback. Him and Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger, quarterbacks, are still playing, that might be on the verge of retiring, but, never know. So anyway, Jacksonville Jaguars over the Giants. Final score, 26-16. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans in the Superdome. And this should be pretty much a decent matchup. I mean, it's not really like a matchup like to say oh, this is a really great matchup I'm looking forward to, but it should be a good matchup, but not like a great one, but it should be pretty nice matchup. But I have the New Orleans Saints over this one because Drew Brees is still playing, pretty good, and he's another quarterback that's been playing, and the Buccaneers don't have Winston. They have another Jameson Winston, whatever. They have another quarterback. I can't remember his name, but I know I don't have the roster up, but it's all right. But Saints over the Buccaneers in this one. Final score 33-17. 33-17. Yep. Next we have the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots in Foxborough. Unfortunately, Houston, we have a problem because this is in favor to the Patriots, unfortunately. I would love to see the Texans upset the Patriots on the first game, but it's just not really a possibility, unfortunately. It would be great, again, if the Texans could get the win, but unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. So, Patriots over the Texans, 26-13. All right. Next, the San Francisco 49ers and the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Everybody remembers that catch from the Minnesota Vikings, that player. I can't remember his name. Sorry about that. The guy that caught that pass and got the win for the Minnesota Vikings over the Saints, I believe it was. So, this should be an okay matchup, though, but not too thrilled about the 49ers facing the Vikings just because it's not really a stupendous matchup. So, give me the Minnesota Vikings for the win over the 49ers. Final score 28-16 in this one. And of course, you see like the forecast that they call for this and all that. I'm not really going over that. And this will be at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis or Minnesota or wherever it's at. So there you go. All right, next one we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Miami Dolphins in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. This should be a decent matchup too, but my pick in this one is actually the Tennessee Titans over the Miami Dolphins. I mean, the Titans, Marcus Mariota and the Dolphins, I think they still have Tannehill, but I could be wrong about that. I think they do, but if I'm wrong about that, sorry about that, but I just like the Titans more in this one over the Dolphins, so give me the Titans over the Dolphins. Final score, 23-17. 23-17. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Don't like this matchup pretty much because, the Colts have Andrew Luck back. He didn't play a lot of games last year because of an injury, but Andy Dalton is still with them, and A.J. Green, I believe his name is, and a few other players, but I like the Cincinnati Bengals, honestly, in this one more, just because that just seems appropriate to go with that team, and it just seems like they're the favorite to win over the Colts. So, Bengals 27 and Colts 16, 27-16. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, in the Dog Pound. Unfortunately, I don't really choose the Pittsburgh Steelers a lot of times in games and stuff, but I would love the Cleveland Browns to win in this game because with their new players like Baker Mayfield and a bunch of others, but I don't know if Baker Mayfield is going to start because it could be Tyrod Taylor or whoever. But if it's probably going to be Tyrod Taylor, but I don't know if because he got injured in that preseason game, but I'm not sure. Or that preseason game, not postseason. Just making sure. Anyway, so give me the Steelers, unfortunately, in this one over the Cleveland Browns, even though I don't choose them a lot of times. Same thing with the Patriots, but So anyway, Steelers over the Browns. Final score 26-16, 10-point game, 26-16. And now we'll get up to this one up here, as I figure I'd just do this one. The Buffalo Bills taking on the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Now, unfortunately, from the game last year, the Ravens were taking on the Bengals in like the last game of the season, and had the Ravens won and the Buffalo Bills lost to the Miami Dolphins, the Ravens would have made the playoffs and would have been the wild card. Would have been pretty good if they had won, but they didn't. I mean, our season was rough last year. You know, we had a lot of injuries, like Terrence West, who is no longer with us. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, running back Alex Collins, a guy who was a running back, for the Seattle Seahawks, I believe. He comes out of nowhere and he has a great season, and he is named our running back pretty much, along with Kenneth Dixon and Javaris Allen, or Buck Allen. And the Ravens also got a new wide receiver by the name of Michael Crabtree from the Oakland Raiders. Some people are not happy about that because some people are big on him, but he's a good wide receiver, and I definitely am happy with the fact of him coming here. And Willie Snead, another guy from the New Orleans Saints, coming to the Ravens as well, and I'm glad about that happening. So, Terrell Suggs, of course, on the defense. No longer had Lardarius Webb. Jimmy Smith has been suspended, unfortunately, for a few games for some kind of reason. I don't really want to get into detail. They still have kicker Justin Tucker and tackle Brandon Williams and C.J. Mosley and a bunch of others too. So, but hopefully the offense will do good, and the defense as well. So I have the Ravens, of course, in this one over the Buffalo Bills. So Ravens 26 and the Buffalo Bills 18. 26 to 18, I say. All right, and now that's it for our 1 o'clock games. Now let's move on to the next ones. Next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. So, this is a pretty decent matchup, and this will be at Rocket Field at StubHub Center. Interesting name, don't know why, but again, it should be an interesting matchup, but not really like a great one. But Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates still on the roster. The Chiefs no longer have what's his name, Alex Smith, I believe. He's with I want to say the Redskins or some team, whatever he's on, but I can't really remember. Hold on a second. What team is NFL quarterback Alex Smith on?
Here are Alex Smith's NFL stats from...
Alright, he is on the Redskins. I had to do that. Thank you, Siri. Anyway, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers in this one. Should be a close matchup, though, but not really too sure about it. Just taking a shot and going with the Chargers in this. So, Chargers for the win, 26 to 23. I think it's going to be a pretty close one. Don't think it's going to go to overtime or anything. I think it's going to be a pretty close one. All right. Next one, the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos at Broncos Stadium at Mile High. I like the Seahawks in this one over the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos are pretty much all right. Just not a whole lot to say about them. Just the Seahawks, Russell Wilson and a bunch of other players. So I like the Seahawks more in this one than the Broncos. Seahawks 27, Broncos 18. 27-18. Next, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Carolina Panthers at Bank of America Stadium. Yeah, the Cowboys are still looking pretty good. You know, they still got a good amount of the same players. And as I mentioned before, the Carolina Panthers have acquired Torrey Smith. Unfortunately, I like the Cowboys more in this one than the Panthers. I mean, the Cowboys are pretty decent. You know, they did pretty well last year. The Panthers did all right. So yeah. Cowboys over the Panthers. Final score 33 to 21. 33 to 21. Next we have the Washington Redskins and the Arizona Cardinals at University of Phoenix Stadium. The Cardinals no longer have Carson Palmer as he has retired, as I heard, but they still have Larry Fitzgerald. And the Redskins, and again with them, with Alex Smith and a few others on the team, I like the Redskins more in this one. I mean, Cardinals, don't know about them. I'm not sure who their quarterback is, but not sure about the rest of them. But give me the Redskins over this one, over the Cardinals. Um, 26-19 in this one. 26-19. And now we have our Sunday night football matchup with your host, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. And this is a matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Not too thrilled with this matchup, and the reason is because the Bears are just pretty much so-so. The Green Bay Packers, they did lose Jordy Nelson, I believe, and their backup quarterback, but they still have Aaron Rodgers and a few others, and Clay Matthews and a bunch of other players on their squad. So give me the Packers over the Bears in this one. Final score, Green Bay 33 and Chicago 13. Yeah. Just don't like this matchup pretty much. I mean, just the Packers, pretty much in this one. But there you go. So, Packers over the Bears, 33-13. And now we come to our Monday Night Football matchups. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Okay, and our first one is the New York Jets against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. I like the Detroit Lions in this one more. Yeah, Matthew Stafford, I have no idea who the Jets quarterback is, but I just like the Lions more in this one. So give me the Lions over the Jets. Final score, 26-18. 26-18. Probably not too thrilled about that score, but we'll say about that. And finally, our last matchup on the West Coast, the Oakland Raiders and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this one should be a pretty good matchup because I just think pretty much it should be a pretty good matchup, like I said. But we shall see. Yeah, the Raiders, like I said about them, even though, and at the Oakland Coliseum, of course, and even though, despite the fact of them losing Michael Crabtree, but we'll see how their season shall go. And this should be, again, a pretty close matchup. My pick in this one is going to be the Raiders over the Rams. I think it's just going to be pretty close, though. Don't think it could go to overtime, though, but I think it's going to be a pretty close one. Raiders over the Rams, 23-21. I think it's going to be a pretty close one. Yeah. Okay, and that's it. So that's my NFL picks for week number 1. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. So if you'd like to comment and say what your picks are, you can, as always, comment below. And don't say any negative stuff, of course. If you do like this video, hit the like button. And subscribe if you have not yet, and please do. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And you all take care, and thanks again for watching this video, my Week 1 NFL picks.